Wait until you hear this shocking story, because what started as a normal day at the park turned into a jaw-dropping encounter that the police officers involved will never forget. And before we dive into this unbelievable chain of events, make sure you subscribe right now so you never miss more powerful, eye-opening stories like this, because trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end to see how everything unravels when the truth is finally revealed. And the story begins with a single black mother named Alicia who only wanted to take her 7-year-old son Jordan to the park on a sunny afternoon, carrying nothing more suspicious than a picnic basket and her laptop bag. Yet from the moment she stepped out of her car, she felt the eyes of a pair of patrolling officers boring into her back, watching her every move as though she had committed some unseen crime. And while Alicia was used to people making assumptions about her appearance, she never expected that on this day her calm outing would escalate into a confrontation that would test her patience, her resolve, and ultimately expose the arrogance and recklessness of people who had no idea who they were really dealing with, because what they didn't know, what they couldn't have guessed, was that beneath the calm smile of this young mother lived the discipline and training of a seasoned FBI agent who had taken down drug rings, exposed corrupt politicians, and spent years mastering the art of reading human behavior. And as Jordan ran toward the playground giggling with carefree joy, Alicia set down her things on a bench and noticed the officers whispering to each other while gesturing in her direction, their hands near their belts in a way that immediately set her instincts on alert. And she reminded herself to breathe and stay calm because she knew how easily misunderstandings could escalate. Yet part of her couldn't help but think how absurd it was that her presence alone was enough to trigger suspicion. But sure enough, within minutes the two officers approached, one tall with a shaved head and a permanent scowl, the other younger, clearly nervous but trying to look authoritative, and they asked her for identification under the pretense that she had been reported for suspicious behavior, a claim that made her raise her eyebrow because she had barely been there 10 minutes and the only thing she had done was unpack some juice boxes. But she complied politely, handing over her driver's license, while inside she debated whether to reveal her badge immediately or let them dig their own grave a little deeper. And as the taller officer scrutinized her license as if searching for flaws, the younger one started asking her questions: where she lived, what she was doing there, whether the boy was hers. And the tone was less about safety and more about intimidation, the kind she had witnessed countless times during undercover work. And she knew that if she had been dressed differently or looked like someone they respected, this exchange might have gone very differently. But instead they were circling her with thinly veiled hostility, demanding unnecessary details, hinting at loitering laws, and making comments that stung more because Jordan was within earshot, watching the exchange with wide confused eyes. And in that moment she decided not to reveal herself just yet, because she wanted to see how far they were willing to go. And so she answered calmly, steadily, making sure her son felt reassured, while inside she catalogued every word, every gesture, because this was more than personal. It was professional, a textbook case of overreach unfolding before her eyes. And when the tall officer finally told her that if she had nothing to hide, she wouldn't mind letting them search her bag, Alicia almost laughed at the irony, because inside that bag wasn't just snacks and her laptop. It was also the encrypted files of an ongoing FBI investigation she had been working remotely, files that not even these two officers had clearance to touch. And so she leaned back and asked if they had a warrant, her voice calm but firm. And that's when the tension escalated, because the younger officer shifted nervously, perhaps realizing they were walking a dangerous line. But the tall one doubled down, placing his hand on the bench near her bag as if to intimidate her. And that's when she decided enough was enough, pulling out her wallet again, but this time sliding out the sleek, unmistakable badge of a Federal Bureau of Investigation special agent. And the look on their faces was priceless, shock washing over them as though the ground beneath their feet had disappeared. And Jordan, though not fully understanding, could sense the shift, his eyes widening as he realized his mother was not just any mom at the park but someone with power and authority they hadn't anticipated. And Alicia let the silence hang for a long moment before she spoke, her voice low and precise, telling them she had just documented every word, every question, every overstep in her mind, and that she had no problem filing a formal report with their superiors if they so much as touched her belongings. And the younger officer stammered something about misunderstanding, but the tall one, his pride wounded, tried to recover by insisting they were only doing their jobs, to which Alicia replied that their job was to protect and serve, not to harass and profile, and that if this was how they spent their patrols then perhaps they should be retrained or reconsider their roles entirely. and though she could have left it at that, a part of her wanted them to truly grasp the weight of their actions, so she stood, tall and commanding, the same way she had during FBI briefings, and told them in no uncertain terms that misuse of authority not only eroded community trust but could also destroy careers. And as she spoke she noticed bystanders beginning to watch, parents on nearby benches whispering, a jogger slowing down to observe, and suddenly the office's bravado faltered because the situation was slipping out of their control, and that was when a twist none of them expected unfolded, because one of the bystanders quietly recorded the entire interaction, uploading it in real time to social media where within hours it would explode into a viral storm, sparking debates nationwide about profiling, accountability, and the hidden strength of ordinary-looking people who turn out to be extraordinary. And though Alicia never sought the spotlight, she knew this moment might serve a purpose bigger than her personal peace. It might serve as a reminder that integrity, courage, and truth still mattered. And as she gathered Jordan and gently told him everything was fine, the two officers stood frozen, their authority diminished, their reputations now hanging in the balance. And later that evening when Alicia checked her phone she saw clips of herself circulating with captions like, "FBI mom teaches cops a lesson," and "Justice served at the park," comments flooding in with both support and outrage, people debating every angle, but what none of them knew was that behind the viral clip there was still a woman who simply wanted to protect her child, enjoy a sunny afternoon, and live without being targeted for the color of her skin. And though the twists of that day had turned her outing into a confrontation, she walked away knowing that sometimes the most powerful lessons come not from lectures or reports but from living examples, from standing firm when others expect you to crumble. And this was not the first time Alicia had been underestimated, nor would it be the last, but she knew in her heart that as long as she had her strength, her son's smile, and her unshakable sense of justice, she could face whatever twists life threw her way, even when those twists began as nothing more than an afternoon at the park.